My school wasn't the kind of place you'd expect nightmares to grow. It was a typical American public school. Bright hallways, blue metal lockers with chipped paint, teachers who complained about funding, and a cafeteria that always smelled faintly of melted cheese. But even the safest places can hide things. People used to whisper about an incident years ago. A strange man who walked into the building pretending to be a parent. Some said he tried to lure a student away. Others said he was trying to rob the classrooms. No one ever agreed on the details. Most of us assumed it was just one of those stories older students exaggerate to scare freshmen. But I learned that day that rumors usually start somewhere. The first sighting. It was a Wednesday afternoon. The school was unusually quiet. Too quiet. Classes had ended, but Katie and I stayed behind to finish a group project. By the time we packed our bags, the hallways were already empty. The hum of the fluorescent lights echoed like a low warning. As we walked, I suddenly froze. Something cold slid down my spine, as if someone invisible brushed their fingers across the back of my neck. I turned my head toward classroom 214. Its door was closed, lights off. But there was movement inside, just a faint shift of shadow. Curiosity nudged me closer. I peeked through the small rectangular window on the door, and that's when I saw her. A girl, standing in the middle of the dark classroom. Her skin was the sick, chalky gray of concrete. Her head tilted like she was straining to hear a sound only she could detect. Her eyes, black, sunken pits, were locked straight onto mine, and thin streams of blood trickled from both ears. Slowly sliding down her neck and staining her shirt. She didn't blink, not once. I stumbled backwards so hard I hit the opposite wall. Katie rushed over and grabbed my arm. "What happened? You look like you saw a ghost." I tried to speak, but no words came out. My throat felt like it was clamped shut. All I could do was grab her hand and run. The twist. When we finally stopped at the stairwell, I told Katie what I saw. But instead of laughing or calling me crazy, her face drained of color. I saw her too. I felt the world tilt for a second. Katie swallowed hard and whispered. Yesterday, before class ended, the teacher asked me to turn off the lights. Everyone left, and I walked to the switch. When everything went dark, I saw a girl standing in the corner. She described the exact same figure. The gray skin, the blood from her ears, the silent stare. But she added something I hadn't seen. She was whispering something, but I couldn't understand it. It sounded like she was trying to warn me about something. The return to classroom 214. We decided, stupidly I guess, to go back the next day before school started. We wanted to prove to ourselves it wasn't real. Classroom 214 was empty that morning. Sunlight poured through the windows. Everything looked painfully normal. But on one of the desks, there were small brownish-red fingerprints. Kid-sized. Katie gasped. She touched this. I told her it was probably an old stain. But we both knew that desk had been spotless the day before. Then the lights flickered, and the doors slammed shut behind us. We screamed and ran to the exit, but the handle wouldn't move. The lights buzzed louder and louder, flickering so fast it felt like the whole room was breathing. Then we heard it. From the back of the classroom, a faint whisper. At first, it sounded like static. Then it grew clearer, sharper, closer. "Don't let him in." Katie clutched my arm so tightly, her nails dug into my skin. We turned around. The girl was standing directly behind the last row of desks, closer now than either of us had ever seen her. Blood dripped from her ears in slow, heavy drops. Her mouth trembled as if she wanted to scream but didn't have the strength. And then she pointed toward the classroom door. We heard footsteps, heavy steps, adult steps. Someone was walking toward the room. The handle rattled violently. Every instinct in my body told me that whatever was outside that door wasn't a teacher and wasn't supposed to be inside the school. The whisper came again, desperate this time. Don't let him in. Without thinking, Katie and I pushed a desk against the door. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, very slowly, the handle stopped rattling. Whoever or whatever was there walked away. We toned back to the center of the classroom. The girl was gone. No flicker, no fade out, just gone. What the school never told us, later that day, we found out something strange. Years ago, long before we enrolled, a young girl collapsed in classroom 214 during an after-school program. She died before the ambulance arrived. The cause? Severe internal bleeding from her ears. Authorities believed she had been terrified by someone who entered the school that same day. Someone reported wandering the halls, pretending to be a parent. The man was never caught. That was the rumor. Now I think the girl never left because she wasn't haunting us. She was protecting us. We switched schools a few months later. But sometimes, late at night, I think about what would have happened if we had opened the door that morning. If that man, or whatever he was, walked inside. Sometimes the safest places aren't safe at all. And sometimes the ghosts aren't the ones you should fear. It's the people they're trying to warn you about.